Hi everyone and welcome to Stellaris, the one planet strategy tutorial / let's play. Before we begin, let me just summarize what is the one planet strategy. It's a way to play extremely tall in Stellaris, and because the technologies and the traditions cost is indexed on the number of planets and population you have, it basically means that you will achieve scientific supremacy by building a lot more or researching a lot more technologies and traditions than other factions. The goal is to get a Science Nexus before 100 years, and after that your scientific production will be so big that you will reach the repeatable technologies that will give you basically the best fleet in the entire universe. So let's dig right in. I'm just going to mention that I'm playing version 191, version Bool, and that is so Stellaris 1, which will be very different from Stellaris 2. I'm playing it with a few mods, but only cosmetic mods, no big change to the main gameplay. I've designed this faction already, which is, I would say, advisable. It's one way of playing the one planet strategy. That's the way I would advise you to play. All of this tutorial is based on the one planet strategy Steam guide that you can find on Steam, and you can also find in the description of the video. It's also based on feedback from Reddit. There was a Reddit thread about it, so all of that is based on this. I've adapted it a little bit to my personal preference, so feel free to let me know what you think in the comments. So let's begin. By the way, I've created a few factions. It's just more for the lore, more the lore than the actual gameplay. But we're gonna play as the coalition of Roshar. And first thing that is pretty important is the threats you're gonna pick. So you definitely want to have thrifty here, because the one planet strategy is a strategy where you rely on outpost to be able to have influence over a system and be able to build mining stations. You're going to get a lot of minerals, but because of all the frontier outposts you're going to have to maintain, you will need a lot of energy, and you're going to lack energy, and energy is critical in the game. So by using thrifty, you'll compensate this lack of energy a little bit. The second thing you'll definitely want to need as the threat is charismatic. Charismatic gives your opinion of your ruler the impact of +25, and it also means other species owner happiness +5%. Basically, other factions are going to like you more, so it's going to be easy to do diplomacy. One of the massive disadvantage of the one planet strategy is that your fleet is going to be capped very low. You can have a small fleet all the time. You're not going to be able to compete in terms of fleet size compared to other faction for the main part of the game, the main majority, the early and the mid game, mainly the mid game. In the early game, we all have small fleets. So to compensate that, you want to make sure you make as many friends as you can, and you have defensive pact or things like that. So charismatic is going to help with that. To compensate that, we can pick slow breeders, and actually it's a negative trait, really. But for us in the one planet strategy, it's a positive trait, because it means the growth speed of our population is going to be slower, but it's actually better because it will leave us more slots when we actually going to be able to build synthetics population. That's going to be pretty important for us to build the correct synthetic population. We're also sedentary, which means our migration speed is decreased and our resettlement cost is increased. But because we're only going to have one planet, at least for the beginning of the game, or at least until we build that Science Nexus, it basically doesn't matter that much. And because we pick that, we can be natural sociologists, which means our society output is going to be increased by 15%. The society technologies are the most important one in the one planet strategy. We're going to go over them as we have to pick them during the Let's Play. So I'll be able to detail them, but there's probably something like 4 to 6 key technologies in the society tree that are very important, mainly for unity production. The other very important thing when you design your faction for playing the one planet strategy is the ethic you're going to pick. So you want to pick, interestingly, the fanatic materialist. That is because, first of all, research speed plus 10%. Obviously, the end goal is to achieve scientific supremacy. So if you have increased research speed, that's all the best for you. It's also because that way you're going to get the better type of synthetic population. That will give you the better Unity boost as well. And Unity is one of the 3 resources, I consider it a resource, that is pivotal to the one planet strategy. So we're going to talk about that in a few seconds, but Unity, keep in mind, very important. The second one that is super important is influence, and that's why we pick egalitarian. Some people like to play as fanatic egalitarian, which gives them a faction influence gain of 30%. The reason I like to do it that way is that fanatic materialists have factions that are very easy to please, so you get a lot of influence from them. And by having egalitarian on top of that, you get a 15% increase of your influence gain. That's very important because influence is the second, probably one of the 3 most important resources of the one planet strategy. It's important because that's what you're going to need to as an upkeep for your Frontier Outpost and to build as a flat cost for building Frontier Outpost. In terms of authority, you want to pick the democracy. Democracy are really good because leaders will have mandates that can yield you a lot of influence as well. In terms of civics, obviously the cutthroat politics is very, very good early on. It gives you +1 monthly influence, so that will basically make sure you've got a small pool of influence in the early game. The second one you want to pick is the technocracy, because we're going to have to research specific technologies in a specific, I wouldn't say order, but there's going to be a sense of priority in the different technology we pick. It's very important to have a lot of alternatives so we manage to reach the mega engineering technology. Sorry, it's not mega engineering. Yeah, it's the mega engineering technology. So that's what we're going to need, and that is a prerequisite of the Galactic Wonders tradition, which is what we need to be able to build a Science Nexus. As you see, there's quite a lot of things to get in the right order to get your one planet strategy right, and we're gonna try to achieve that with the coalition of Roshar. In terms of starting weapon, I'm just gonna start with energy. I don't think there's any reason to pick one instead of the other. You're gonna be pretty pacifist anyway in the early game. I'm gonna pick hyperspace travel. This is only for the reason that when Stellaris 2 will land, it will be hyperspace travel as a default. So we're gonna go with that. I've picked humanoid ships as well, and that's it. We can just go and move on. The game detail and the game settings is really up to you, but there are ways of making the one planet strategy more viable and probably more enjoyable. So for the context of this tutorial / let's play, obviously I want to maximize the chance of me succeeding so that the series doesn't get shut down in the middle because I've got a fanatic xenophobe as a neighbor next to me, or the AI has been too aggressive towards me. It's very important, or it's more interesting to play in a huge galaxy that has spiral shape and 4 arms that will make your position less vulnerable in the early game because you will have less chance of having multiple neighbors. We can start with a reasonable number of AI empires. 12 seems like a good number, and I'm going to turn off the advanced AI empires. We're going to go with 2 fallen empires. That should be enough. A lot of primitive civilization because they always give you a little boost of society research, so that's always good. Crisis strength, it doesn't really matter. In the context of this let's play, my goal is to just build the Science Nexus, because after that it's just rinse and repeat for researching technologies, and then the late game crisis will inevitably be too strong for you. I'm going to diminish the number of habitable worlds to the minimum. The reason for that is we're not going to be able to, well, we're not going to look for any habitable world anyway. We're only going to look for Frontier Outposts. We're only going to build Frontier Outposts. So by decreasing the number of habitable worlds, we're just weakening our opponents. It's a bit cheesy, but that's fine. AI aggressiveness, I've usually playing in normal, but I'm going to go in with low just for the sake of the tutorial. Difficulty normal, we're only allowing hyperdrive FTL method, empire placement of random, no advanced neighbor because we don't want to get killed, and we're going to turn off Iron Man. This is mainly for the sake of, if I make a misclick or anything, I will be able to reload and fix my errors, and more importantly, it will not save the game every month, which will slow down the recording and everything, especially in the late game. So we have a few things to do on turn 1, and I hope we'll be able to unpause the game before the end of this episode. The first thing is, let's read a little bit the lore of the faction. So in the eons since the first primitive Mirish communities took shape amid the great dune seas of Roshar, our civilization has spread and prospered. Alas, our ancestors were victims of ignorance and superstition in the early eras. This dark period of our history lasted until science and rationality were firmly established as the guiding principles of our society. A new democratic system of government was introduced, where important decisions were made by consensus. That's because we're a democracy, and now, after the discovery of the Hyperlane network, the finest minds of the coalition of Roshar have finished development of the first hyperdrives. The stars themselves are finally within our grasp. So we are egalitarian, fanatic materialists. We've got a desert preference. It doesn't really matter which type of planet you prefer. This is just for the lore. If you don't know the books, the fantasy novels from Brandon Sanderson, this is where Roshar is, and it's actually quite an interesting book. It's the Stormlight Archive, and I would recommend it to you guys. That was just a parenthesis about the lore. Anyway, we're thrifty as we discussed, natural sociologist, charismatic, slow breeders, sedentary. That's all good. We can now begin. So, what do we do on turn 1? On turn 1 you start with 1 fleet with 3 ships and 2 civilian ships. So the first thing we do is go onto that large view and zoom out. See, I like this position. We are in the middle of, now, not really the middle, I guess the middle would be over there. But we've got a lot of space to expand to the left and to the right. And you see these links here, the hyperlanes between 2 arms? Well, we're not too close to one, so it means we might not have too many dangerous neighbors nearby. That's really good. By the way, the other thing I would like to mention is that I use keyboard shortcuts quite a lot. For example, I press E to go from the system view to the galaxy map, and that's something just keep in mind for now. Also use 1, 2, 3 and 4 to move from my different ship, different views and my system. And when you are in this view, you can use Z, V, X, C and V to move between the different tabs, so I usually do that quite a lot. Anyway, let's see what do we have. Our governor has got a building cost minus 10%, clear blocker time minus 5%, build speed plus 15%, that's nice. So what do we have on the surface? Actually, it's a 17 planet, so it's pretty decent. So the first thing you want to do in your home system is build the autochthon monument, which will yield you 2 unity. That's definitely where we're going to go next, and once this is built, we're going to have to move one of our pup to that time because we want to get as much unity as fast as possible. I think luckily this one will be good to move here. We obviously want to keep our energy as much as possible. We don't want to decrease the number of food we produce as well, not yet. So we have to, we can afford to lose 3 minerals for some unity, I think. some people might disagree. The other thing you want to do in your system is get rid of all your defensive army. These guys have a maintenance of 0.15 energy credits, and they are basically not needed because you're not going to have to defend your planet anytime soon. If you have to defend your planet, you're probably in a very bad position, and you want to have the army to defeat the invader. So just get rid of that. That should give us 1 extra energy credit. Yeah, it's perfect. And the other things we want to build now is an extra science ship. That should, I think, usually take us to 0 minerals, but because of my governor bonus of building cost minus 10%, that didn't go to 0, that just goes to 20, so that's already pretty good. So what are we going to do with our existing fleet? Our military fleet, we're going to split this guy in actually 3 armies, and we're going to send them around as scouts. The goal for them is to first discover as many other factions as possible, and hopefully discover the artisan troop. The artisan troop is kind of a special faction in Stellaris. You can have interactions with them, and the goal with the artisan troop is to, well, first of all, have a good relationship with them, and then be able to buy out some buildings that you can build in your system, like the art monument, that will give you a lot more unity. And you don't have that many ways of building unity. I mean, you've got a few ways of getting some influence in your empire. You've got the factions, you've got all the different events, and you've got your mandate with your leader. So all that's something that you can take care of with different means. Unity, however, you don't have that many ways of getting a bonus of unity, so it's quite important to have a lot of buildings to get more unity. So let's send our first fleet in that direction. So what I like to do is kind of set them so that they have vision on as many systems as possible. So we're going to send one guy to the tip of the arm, like that. Gonna go here, there. It's gonna take him quite a few years to just do that, and then you can go to the end and then here. That's one fleet. The second fleet we're gonna send in the opposite direction. So obviously there is a small risk of losing these fleets, but it's a risk I think we can afford because it's not gonna make any difference anytime soon. So we can always rebuild a few corvettes at home if need be. Let's go in diagonals like this, and I think we're gonna end here. So with that guy, however, I'm just gonna go there, I think, and from there either I go to the middle of the galaxy or I go and expand that way. I'm gonna have one ship here, another one here, so let's go to the left. So we can do this, that. So roughly trying to map as much of the galaxy as we can. That's nice. Okay, so that is it for our military fleet. Our construction ship has nothing to do for first, few months. So the only thing I'm gonna get him to do is just move here, and just a quick look. I think, okay, this guy's gonna map that, so I can just move that guy here and back, like that. By the way, I use shortcuts, as I said before, so when I give orders to the fleet, if I want to give an extra order, I just press Shift and right click to move. The other thing you can do is, if you want to give him an order, like the top priority order, you can do Control Shift click, and it will, for example, if I do Control Shift right click here, it will move to this unknown star first and then continue with the rest of the orders I gave him. It's always something nice to keep in mind if you have like something very important to do, but you don't want to lose all the actions you've queued before. The science ship, however, is going to survey the home system straight away. And okay, there's a few other things we want to look at. So we're gonna have a next election in 10 years. Oh, that guy gives us building cost minus 10% as well. No, space miner as well. Okay, this is pretty good. Obviously, we don't want to reform the government or budget demographics. We're not that interested about that. As I said, I do have a few mods, so that gives me extra things here, but nothing very important. I think we can go with materialist. We're gonna get a lot more guys here. Minor mandate. So obviously, this is a great way to get some influence in the game. So first leader, Caneb, was elected on a platform of increasing mineral output by building mining station in orbit around suitable planetoids. Obviously, we're going to get to that 4 mining stations built very soon. Actually, I'm pretty pleased by my start because I've got 4 systems in my area of influence already. We will pick research pretty soon, but first of all, I just wanted to mention that we're going to change our food stockpiling to be large, and this is because I couldn't leave it to minimal or balanced, but basically once you reach the cap that you set in terms of food stockpiling, everything that goes in excess will increase your growth speed. And as I explained before, we don't want our growth to be too fast. The goal of the one planet strategy is to have as many planets and as little planet and as little population as you can, so that the cost of traditions and the cost of technology is super low, so you can research these super fast. So we're gonna go with large. Yes, we're not gonna change any other things for now. And for the rest of that, we've got nothing else to do. So I think now we've done pretty much everything apart from choosing our technologies. So let's see what we have here. There will be a few important physics technology to choose and to research at some point, but they are not the most important in the early game. Actually, there's only a couple that you will need. And what's more important here is global energy management, because that leads to the planetary power grid, which will unlock you Energy Nexus, which is a building that produces unity. And again, I cannot underline more than now that we need more unity. Physics lab, not that great. Solar panel network will be good, but it's only 1 module. So we're gonna get that, but later on probably. And power plant 2 will be definitely something we want. So we're going to go with that first, because it's really important to unlock that. Obviously, when we've finished researching that, there's going to be a reroll of technology, and we don't want to miss on that one. So let's research this. In terms of society, okay, this is actually probably one of the worst roll we could get. There are 1, 2, probably 4 base technology we could wish to research. Something around genome mapping, something to unlock the extra influence bonuses or extra unity buildings, more civics as well, with planetary unification onto galactic administration. I think for now it's very bad, to be honest. Farms, we might need that, but the cost of maintenance is not good, so we don't want to build that module. Naval capacity, I think I might have to pick that. Or the army upkeep. I think, yeah, I'm not going to build a military academy because we're not going to go aggressive. I'm going to go with that because of the army upkeep minus 10%. Right now my army upkeep is 3.2. Actually, that will give me potentially 3 energy credit if I read that correctly, so pretty worth researching that. In terms of engineering, there's a few things, mainly synthetics and battleships, which are prerequisite for the mega engineering and technology as well, and it's gonna help us get to this Science Nexus. The other things we will probably want to get from here is the ion thruster. Basically, it's gonna speed up all of our fleet movements, so that's gonna be useful to get. However, more importantly, I think, is the way onto synthetics population, and this is the first technology you want. So powered exoskeleton. Let's just select that for now. And I think that's it for the setup of our first turn. So obviously I've got with me a cheat sheet that I put together with different technologies, different traditions we're going to research. If we look at our traditions, where are the F8? We're going to look at that once we've got enough unity. We're going to get that into 34 months, probably before, because we're going to build an extra building for that. Anyway, we're going to look at what we're going to adopt, the different accession perks we're going to need to get to the Science Nexus. I think before the end this video, I can just start the game a little bit. I usually play on fast or very fast, but for now I'm just going to stay on fast and we'll see what happens. I think talking a little bit more about this tutorial slash let's play, we're going to try to go quite slowly, but it's not going to be a full tutorial with, you know, a lot of editing in the video and trying to explain everything that's going on. We're only going to talk about the different choice we're making, why we're making these choices, and we are also going to try to, you know, read what happens, so read all the different text that's going to pop up. So the spaceport of Roshar has finished its construction queue, and that's our first interesting decision, is what are we going to do with this second ship. First of all, we're going to have to recruit an extra leader, so it's going to cost us a bit of influence, but we can afford to do that. Their traits are survey speed 25%, that's going to be very important. Research speed 10% as well, that would be good. I don't think we do have one genius here. I might have to... Oh, statecraft is really good as well. I might have to rejig these guys maybe. I'll think about it. The last one is leader experience gates, probably the least important of it. I'm going to get that guy because he's going to be assigned to a ship, so obviously he's going to be doing surveys. Before I move on though, I might want to get Cam Pramar on the society. Actually, probably not, because she is expert in statecraft and that's very important. So we'll see, maybe we'll replace her later on or something. That's really good, and physics is not the one you would need. Actually, yeah, I think it's better to make the swap. So let's just swap them right now. And where's my variable? Yeah, like that. I know this is not ideal, but I think that will do for now. Just give it a little bit of boost to my society research, which is key, as I described before. So what are we going to do with this science ship? Usually you would, you know, start surveying the other neighboring systems. However, I think we should, and we will, already start researching where we're going to place our first Frontier Outpost. So I'm tempted to go in this direction. The reason for that is they are basically a larger cluster of planets and stars in that direction. You can see if I put my outpost here, or maybe here, I should be able to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 systems here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8. Later on, this will probably be a better position than this one. It's kind of a rule of thumb that it should be every 3 to 4 star, and it's 3 to 4. You know, if you draw a line from Roshar to that way, Roshara, you might want 1, 2, 3. So you might want to put it here or there. If we go on the other way, though, we have 1, 2, and we could go there. But if we put it there, we're only gonna get 2 extra systems at the beginning. Maybe these ones later on. That's kind of really late. I think definitely expanding toward the left is the best decision. I think this is maybe the optimal place right now, but in the late game, this might be better. So I'm just gonna send that guy here, and we're gonna survey the system, and we're gonna see what happens. And I think on that note, we're just gonna end the video right now. That was the first part of our One Planet Strategy tutorial / let's play. I hope to see you very soon. Goodbye.